Hello, today's August 30th, 2014, and I'm Tennant. Let's start as we usually do by going over my last set of predictions. The first was that the high of this wall would be surpassed and there'd be resistance over it, which is what happened. The next is that there was a target of 2002.42. I thought we might hit it, which we did. And I was looking for a change in trend about 11:30 Eastern. These times are all central, so I was off by about half an hour. It's interesting that the last two mejt targets waiting to be filled pretty much outlined the day's range. Note that we have support under the lower target and resistance over the higher one. As far as Friday's action, we had a rally. mejt says the rally is false, gives us a target of 1997.62, most likely by early Wednesday. We'll come back to that in just a minute. In the afternoon, there was a sell signal. A W means it was a weak move coming up. The target was awfully close. There's support under the target. The system says we have a target at 1997.62, but also says a weak move was coming to the downside and that this was a support area. It doesn't really say if you should hold here for the last 1.5 to 2 points or stand aside until there was a more favorable risk-reward situation. That's why the system is designed for experienced traders to be used in conjunction with other systems. Well, that's what the system is giving for Tuesday when we reopen. I'm a little bit leery for the reasons I'm going to discuss. There are a number of negatives in the market. One is that we have printed bar 13 of a sequential sell signal on the half-day chart, but a lot of these DeMark things have not worked. Another negative for the market is that we can't seem to break over this trend line on a closing basis. Another negative is that we finished with a wall and closed at the high of the day. Each of these tends to be signs of enthusiastic purchases by uninformed retail customers and tends to be reversed with a gap down the following day. Leading some credence to this is the action in the futures market, where after piddling around all day long, in the last hour when all the smart money had left, on the biggest volume of the day, we broke out to a new high, and we promptly sold off after the close. This is action which is rather typical of short covering right before the long weekend. Maybe that's all it was, and if so, we should reverse this move promptly on Tuesday by gapping down sharply. Let's take a look at the larger pattern. We had a diamond on stilts here, finished up with a wall going up. We now have another wall. I think you could see a larger diamond. And so the natural tendency is to think we might get a stilt-like move down, and we could. The problem is this is a type of pattern which tends to work the first time but not the second time. If we're going to break down from a diamond on stilts, we had every reason to do it here and not to reform the pattern again. Another confounding influence is that we have just barely broken over the stop loss of the sequential sell on the weekly chart. DeMark says we have to trade past the close to confirm the signal, so if we gap down it doesn't count. It also says that the Stop loss should be interpreted loosely, and technically it really hasn't broken it by enough. But I'm a bit leery when things which should work perfectly don't work perfectly. For Tuesday's open, we have a mejt target of 1997.62. I would be awfully leery that it won't print unless we have a sharp gap down on Tuesday. If this were to happen, at the very least, I'd want to gap under this wall. I would still be strongly suspicious if we didn't gap down under Friday's low, and ideally we should gap down all the way to the 1988.40 target. So if it's going to work, that this is a false move, we're making a top, we should gap down here immediately and the move might not be tradable. I'm a bit leery that it's not going to work, and that means I am flat over the weekend. We'll just have to see what happens. Tuesday's call, a lower target, but if we don't gap down sharply, it probably won't print, and that's today's call.